Speaking of enjoying conversations, Tim. Stephen Brunt joining us. Stephen, when will you write an essay about all your essays?
Yeah, that's a heck of an idea, Sid. Another great idea from you, Sid.
No, but I'm being serious. Okay, so do you think? I hate to rank your essays because how do you rank your favorite children?
How do I love thee?
How do I love thee? But like your the London Olympics piece, that's got to be that's 1 or 1B, right? Like that's right up there. Or am I missing an obvious?
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, that was. I got to go to London too when we shot for the stuff for that one, so that was even better. And I didn't really have to do anything. I just had to kind of hang around with really talented, creative people while they shot stuff and said, "That looks good to me." And then be in London and stay in a really nice hotel. So yeah, I have very fond memories of that one.
Did you get a couple of bottles of wine while you were there, maybe as well?
Of course.
It could have happened, or a pints of bitter or something. But yeah, it was all good.
The one that you wrote on the return of sports, and listen, it hit on, I believe, the right tone. And you probably don't know this, but in our conversations over the years, on and off the air, you've caused me to think on and rethink some of my romantic and admittedly naive views on sports. But in times like this, I think we can all start from a point where we want society to be better in a lot of ways. That said, sports can actually play a little bit of a role in that, can it?
Yeah, and first of all, I want to shout out to Paul Sadu, who produced that piece, and Vince Montoclocome, who the great editor who did because again, anybody saw it, like the pictures are astounding, and but in terms of the narration and the script, man, I got to tell you, I rewrote that piece. We started working on that back in April, or at least I started working on the script back in April, because we thought, okay, we're going to restart at some point. We need to find what's the story we're going to tell when we restart. And we didn't know when that was going to happen. And maybe it would have happened in April or May or June, right? Like we all we were flying blind. And the feeling changed, the reality changed has changed so many times in the last 4 months that, I kept tweaking that script to try and reflect what, like there's two things. One is I don't want to conflate sports with real stuff, real stuff. People are living and dying. It's what we talk about is mostly pretend stuff, or stuff that doesn't really mean anything by itself, and so you didn't want to be just rah, the hell with the pandemic, rah, let's get the games back on.
Right.
But look, I think what you're saying, and Tim, is that the community, what we bring to sport, like the fact that it gives us kind of it creates communities and communal activities and kind of allows you to be together with people and care about the same things and bond, to create relationships, and powerful, like that. It doesn't the putting the ball in the basket stuff or the hitting the home run stuff, like by itself doesn't mean anything. But I think sport can mean something, or spectator sport can mean something, because community means everything. I think that if the one thing I've learned in the last few months is that if we're not together, we are diminished. We're tremendously diminished. And sports gives you community and focus and a kind of a shared passion that it's hard to find other places. I'm not sure. Look, it'd be great if we rallied around other things, I guess, but we don't. And so in this moment, I think it does matter if we get a chance to all root for the home team. Like by itself, it doesn't mean anything, but in the midst of a time when we've all been kept apart and locked in our rooms and hiding under our beds, yeah, I think it does mean something.
Stephen Brunt of Writer's Block and of anything that's ever good here on Tim and Sid, because he's on all things that are good. I'm trying to think of where to go here, Steve. Tim, do you want to follow up though on what you guys are talking about before I divert? Because I feel like maybe I'm diverting at the wrong time. Do you want to follow?
No, that's you can go. I think Stephen summed it up very well. I mean, as all I would have added is, as the two hosts, along with Dina Pugliese of the Raptors parade, I can visualize exactly what you're talking about when you say community. And though we won't be able to get together like that you saw it up close and personal for about 8 hours.
Yeah, and what else? And what else is going to do that? It would be great if it'd be great if we rallied around belief systems or community ralies or something else that did that. I guess
quality,
profound.
Right.
Yeah, and look, that's we're kind of people have been doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like God love them. Like that's one of the unexpected and positive byproducts of a pandemic is that actually has happened. But sport as a focus, an excuse. But I think the thing around sport is really important. I think it's as important as anything. And if you didn't know that before March, I think you probably know it now.
Stephen Brunt here on Tim and Sid. The Jays without a home playing a season, and let's work under the pretense that they're successful. And by successful, I mean in a wild card chase, which a lot of teams will be because it's going to be a sprint, not a marathon. Where would this fall, Stephen, in terms of the craziest Canadian sports stories you've ever seen if this team is good as a nomad with no home?
It's hard, right? Like there have been teams that have been uprooted from their homes and had to play road seasons, but not in big leagues. Generally, it doesn't tend to happen in the big leagues, but it has happened in the minor leagues. And Timmy would know that the Ticats played a season in Guelph one year when they were getting their stadium rebuilt. That didn't work out so well because every time they went to Guelph, there was a tornado, among other things, as I recall. But it was really horrible, right? But no,
there's a weather system over Guelph.
Yes, permanently.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough, and it's not it's not about a crowd in the home crowd, obviously, because there isn't going to be one. But I think it's these guys are going to be it's already the bizarro season of all bizarro seasons. But to not even for the 30 games kind of be able to go into your own clubhouse, work out in your own gym, be in a city where you kind of know where things are, even if you can't go out and enjoy all of those things. Yeah, I think it's not going to be easy. But again, maybe with a young core group like they have, at least among the position players, maybe those guys are a little more oblivious. Less oblivious, I don't know, whatever, more oblivious to what's going on and just kind of put their heads down and play baseball. But when we back in spring, when things ended, I remember sitting there with Blair and Barker, and we were it was a good vibe in the spring, and there was a lot of positives, and it felt like progress was going to be made. Progress maybe represented 500, but it definitely felt like progress was going to be made. And a lot of these guys looked really good in the spring. Danny Jansen looked fantastic in spring, not just even the Bichettes, but guys we don't talk about as much. And maybe that's still what we should be thinking, is that if they creep up around 500 in a 60-game season, and that's Nate Pearson makes his debut, and we see some progress from these guys. It's definitely set up for weird stuff to happen, isn't it? A 60-game baseball season. Again, everybody's talked about it, but the Nationals were out of it after 60 games last year, and they won the World Series. The flip side could be true as well. You get hot for 10. It's like getting hot for 20. It's a very different scenario. So I'd love them to come out of the gate and win 5 out of 6, and I think then the conversation would get really interesting.
Stephen Brunt joining us here on Tim. I think there's going to be a lot of interest. When you said the bizarro season of bizarro seasons, I started thinking about what is the most bizarre among the bizarre that we're going to see, because I don't know that I don't know that enough conversations have taken place over the last little while as we've navigated our way through months without sports, and now how you get back to sports. We are going to see things that we have never seen before, and we already have seen things that we have never seen. Can you find the most bizarre among the bizarre, or what you'll be looking for amidst all of this? Because I don't know if we can even comprehend what we're about to see.
No, I like it's even to this point, right? Like you guys were just talking about soccer. Like I've been watching lots of soccer, right? I've just watched the FA Cup semis on the weekend. I watched the Bundesliga play out. Like I've been watching teams play in these massive stadiums in front of nobody, but the game's been pretty entertaining. Like the quality of play has been pretty good. And by the way, they've all gotten, in Europe, they've gotten through all that without being in bubbles and with players going home and sleeping in their own beds. So that should be encouraging, about in terms of what's coming here. But no, like I'm like everybody else. I don't have points of comparison for a 60-game baseball season that starts at the end of July. No, after 4 months. What's playoff hockey look like? Yeah, in front of empty stadiums. What's playoff hockey look like when they're all rested, maybe over rested, and healthy? Like I don't know. Do the Montreal Canadiens have a chance against Pittsburgh in a short series after being off for 4 months if Carey Price stands on his head? Probably not, but I don't know. I think it's super intriguing. I'm not sure what it's going to be like, although I'm looking forward to it, to sit down at noon and start watching games and then quit at 1 a.m. There's going to be a lot of content out there, right? Like if you want to,
oh my God.
You want to avoid the sun for the next few weeks, you can do it.
Or don't go to the pool or take Rogers Ignite outside.
Yeah,
thank you, Sid.
I do.
Well done, friend.
Right.
Yeah.
That's for you, Mr. Brunt. That's for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, do we not have a little bit of a frame of reference in terms of how Jays fans would react to a crazy run? Because Anthopoulos did make the moves in 2015 with 2 months to go, right? It's not an exact comparison for obvious reasons, but he goes out and gets Tulowitzki and Price. It's that trade deadline. It's we did see a window of what a fan base could look like in 2 months in this country, absolutely losing their mind.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because it felt like they didn't lose after that. I believe they actually did lose a couple of games, but it felt like they didn't lose in August and September that year. Yeah, no, it's true. But what's that like without that crowd growing from 25,000 people in the Dome to suddenly being 45,000 people in the Dome? That sense of people wanting to be there and the seeing those stands filled up in a way they hadn't been filled up in years, and like all of that was part of it, right? And if they're playing that game, at PNC Park, an empty park in Pittsburgh, or the stadium in Buffalo, does it feel the same? Like I don't know. I'm willing to find out, and I'll certainly give it a shot. And I'm like everybody else. I want to see games that count, and I have a rooting interest, and kind of just lose myself in it. I think that'll be great, but I just don't. That's August, September, October was so unexpected and so beautiful, but a part of it was being in the city and the crowd and the people going to the park, and everybody wanted to talk about it. You couldn't get into a cab or an Uber without somebody wanting to talk about baseball. That reminded me of what it was like in the late 80s, early 90s, right? So I don't know. Would it be like that? Look, if that happens, or if the Leafs get by Columbus, like I think with the Leafs, the bar is right there. If they get by Columbus, I think things could get kind of nutty, and I think that'd be fine.
Social distancing rules will not be followed if the Leafs win a best-of-5 series. I guarantee you.
I may be
guarantee you.
Stephen Brunt joining us here. All right, so before we let you go, I want to make this announcement. Golf has been the best to watch without a crowd.
Yeah, I guess. It's never the best to watch, but I guess.
All right.
All right. I was kind of with you there.
I actually forgot who I was talking to. Brunt is not a big hit the little ball with the stick around the yard.
I missed the guy, the kind of the pudgy guy in the golf shirt who yells in the hole. Like that's changed everything.
That's the part that I love the most, is that you got no jackass. Light the candle. Was funny the first time.
Who's the guy that's hitting the 400-yard drives now?
Bryson DeChambeau. And he's yelling at everyone else too. He's yelling. He's hitting the ball and he's yelling at everyone.
Are they drug testing in golf? I'm just asking. Like in 4 months you could do a lot, right? Like, has anybody drug tested the guy?
I think all the money's going to the daily COVID tests. They don't have the funds for the other tests. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. So I've noticed that proves I paid attention.
I'll shut up on the golf. Good to talk to you. Always great to hear from you.
Thanks,
and
Dave.
we're going to tweet out, if we haven't already, the excellent essay because it was very fun to watch, and thanks for doing it. And Sadu.
Thanks, boys. Talk to you soon. See you soon, I hope.